in the field of agriculture, and she's also a mother, and she's going to be joining us. Also, we're having Abiyoye Bankole, who is the lead pastor of Bethel Assembly, right? Is a clergy, and made up his mind that he was going to give whatever it took to see this dream become reality, to see this dream come to life. There was one thing this man had in him. It's called determination. It was determined to pay the price to be who he wanted to be. Because we've come to find out, he came to find out that a lot of times people allow themselves to be who situations or the environment or their background said or spoke to them that there will be one way or another. But he determined in his heart that he was going to be who he wanted to be. Did we get that? How many of you can relate to that? How many of you can relate to that? How many of you can relate to that? All right. So, but along the line, he had a lot of challenges, and he finished school not with very good grade, but then he was able to go for a service year, and then it got posted to a place where situations was not getting better. It got posted to a place whereby he did not know anybody. Any family, he didn't have any friend, he didn't have any enemies. There was basically no connection. And remember, he had an inspiration, he had a dream to go into the academic line. Right. Over this period of time, he got to this place as a copper, served his father's land, and according to his own thinking and his own design, he felt, okay, let me go back home. But there was just that thing within him again that said, don't go home, stay where you are. So he stayed where he was. 2 months service year, he got a job. Now at that job wasn't paying too well, but was paying okay. At least it was enough to survive, right? At that job, at a particular point in time, he couldn't put in work into realizing his dream. Basically, at that point in time, he asked himself a question: if I keep working here for the next 10 years, will I fulfill my dream of where I want to be in the next 10 years? And the answer to that question was no. So he resigned. And after resigning, he went into doing business. And he did a whole lot of different kind of business, from selling catfish to selling gari. And but along the line, he kept on paying his price. He got information to of knowing, okay, how do I become an academician? How do I fulfill this dream? And he learned, okay, you've got to do some postgraduate studies. And with that money in his pocket, he registered for his MSc, not knowing how he was going to get the school fees, but he registered anyway, right? Lo and behold, he got the admission. And then the next challenge was to get the school fees. So he decided to release his faith, right? And before he knew it, he got his school fees paid. He went through his MSc. He got his postgraduate diploma in education, and things seemed to be falling in place. And then a year came. In under 2 days, everything he had built, the businesses he had been able to build and was, becoming stable, crashed. His whole life crashed. Because where he was, there was an insurgent. People really couldn't do what they wanted to do. And he began to think to himself, is it not time to draw back? In the place of thinking, he still had that inspiration to stay where he was. There was just that gut feeling he had on the inside that he should stay where he was. 2 months after that time, he got called to attend an interview to be an academician in a particular institution. Lo and behold, at the end of the day, he got that job. And lo and behold, he became an academician. And it's been at that job for about 9 years now. The story of this young man is mine. Impossible is nothing. Impossible is nothing. I've come to find out personally that all it takes to be who you want to be is to make up your mind to be who you want to be. Make up your mind to be who you want to be. Despite the odds that life will throw at you, and believe you me, life will always throw odds at you. You've got to make up your mind to be who you want to be. Not what society has determined you will be, not who your environment say you are, not who your background is trying to design you to be. But you need to understand that you have every potential, you have every right to be who you want to be. Why? Because impossible is nothing. Impossibility are the limitations that we have or we face. It dwells only in our mind. The limitations that we face dwells only in our mind. I'm also going to share a story of a particular insect. And some certain people did an experiment. And they put these insects that couldn't fly, right? But they fed on leaves, green leaves. And they put them in a particular environment. And then they put green leaves in that environment, what they feed on. And they discovered that they will feed on the green leaves. And gradually they would lift the green leaves higher. Then the insects will go higher, eat the green leaves. Then they will lift it a little higher, they will go up, eat the green leaves. Up to the point that they now kept the green leaves at a place where the insect could not climb to eat the leaves. They discovered over a process of time the leaves were so that they could feed. And check the history of that insect, that never before until that time that the generation of that insect were winged. And that means that the insect always had the potential to fly. It was deep within their system, but they never flew. And that is the beauty of hardship. I call it the gift of pain. The gift of pain will make you move beyond your known potential into your unknown potential. The gift of pain, of the hardships and the struggles that you are going through, is actually meant to move you to do beyond what you thought you could initially do. And that is what makes impossible nothing. Are we together? So basically, I'm going to break this down because I want us to move very fast. I'm going to break this down. For impossible to become nothing, number one, you must decide who you want to be. You must decide what you want to achieve in life. You must decide where you want to be in life. The second thing you need to do after deciding who you want to be, what you want to achieve, where you want to be, make up your mind to pay the price. no matter the cost. Make up your mind that whatever life throws at you, you are going to face it to become who you want to be. Never get attracted to distractions. Never get attracted to distractions, because a lot of things will come your way to distract you from where you want to go. Funny enough, something happened this week where I resigned from some years ago. Two of the staff that I left there, okay, one of the staff that I left there, one of them is graduating as my student today, this year. So I thought to myself, if I had stayed, if I had stayed in the name of we must survive, I don't know if you are with me. So what you are looking at now that might look attractive, if that's not where you want, if that's not what you want, drop it. Don't be distracted by it. Third thing you need to do is you have to surround yourselves with the people that are going where you are going. Listen, everybody cannot be your friend, and you cannot be everybody's friend. Let me say that again. Everybody cannot be your friend, and you cannot be everybody's friend. Because it's not everybody that believes that impossible is nothing. One of my mentors will say, show me your friend and I will show you your end. Because friends help you to get to the end. So your association matters. You need to come around people that have your kind of mindset, your kind of belief system, that are going in your direction. And finally, you will fail, right? Every time you fail, you try again. I like to tell people failure is an event, it's not a person. You are not a failure. What happened, what you did failed, but that is not you. And the good thing about failure is this: it helps us to know how not to do it another time. Yes, you might fail, but then you try again and again and again and again and again. Why? Because impossible is nothing. So I want to encourage you this afternoon, no matter what you've made up your mind to be, no matter where you've made up your mind to go, impossible is nothing. We had booked this all since 6th of September, but we only got permission to use this all at 11 o'clock today. Because a lot of challenges was thrown. Another program is holding, change the venue, use a classroom. I told this church secretary, I said, ma, we will use this all. They're gonna, I said, we will use this all. When she called me at 11 o'clock and she said, okay, you people can use the all. I screamed. She now started laughing. I left my house. There was meant to be sanitation today. I don't know if it helped. But I left my house at 6 o'clock. That they will come and meet me here. So that they will know that is either we are using this hall or we are using this hall. Because the theme of the program is impossible is nothing. So there is, I wasn't just ready to shake. Because I told myself, if I'm going to tell people impossible is nothing, and this was thrown at me, there has to be a proof. They told us to pay extra. I said we will pay. Because impossible is nothing. So I want to encourage you. No matter how big your dream is, you can do it. Keep telling yourself, impossible is nothing. Our next speaker is not on ground, he's on his way. But we're not going to stop. We have two of our speakers around already. And I'm trying to determine who will go first. Eh? Okay, she's ready. She's ready. Okay. So let's have like 5 minute music interlude. Then we'll have Mrs. Ladi Felix all the way from Abuja, right? And she's gonna be coming up virtually. All right, let me quickly mention here now. I want to appreciate. Let me appreciate the presence of some certain set of people while we kick that off. While we wait for Mrs. Ladi Felix to join us. Um, I have my media partner with me here, Reflector Orb. Can we give him a round of applause? Well, so much. In fact, their coming here is so encouraging for me. I mean, it's
Good afternoon. I'm super excited to see you all. Like he rightly introduced, my name is Benita Samuel, and it's a privilege standing here today. I'm not in the flyer, but God knows how to order the steps of His children. Hello, hello. Okay. All right. So I'll just share this with you. Uh, I'm the CEO of Benny Expression, and I host this show, the Benny Expression Show. It's actually a virtual show that I've been doing for a while now. And when I started, I was afraid of the content I needed. What I did was just start for starting. Because first, I had a message. Actually, Deep Any Expression Show is about finding something about you that you can love, accept, admire. Because sometimes we tend to look outside for what we should have seen inside. We tend to ask others to evaluate us when we should have done that for ourselves. We tend to look for love outside when we should have started loving ourselves the way we are supposed to. So I felt like, okay, I've been one person who has been thinking negative things like, okay, I'm not good enough, I'm not perfect, I'm not intelligent, I'm not smart, I'm not beautiful, I don't have anything to offer. But when I got to the point that I realized that I was set apart for a purpose, and when God told me in the book of Jeremiah that He has set me apart as a prophet to the nation, I realized that I had something. I I could offer the world. And I didn't want the next person next to me, someone sitting next to me or around me thinking that he or she is not good enough. So I started the show, Deep Any Expression Show. Then I got to a point that I realized that it's not just going to be a local show. It's not going to be something like, okay, the people that will be watching the show are not just going to be those around me or my village or my family member and all that. It has to be an international show because I am out for the world. And the Bible says it's not to just impact, it's not a prophet to my state, prophet to my family, to my house, to my village, or to my church, but to the nations. So I realized that I needed to step out of my comfort zone, just believing that, okay, this is all I can offer to having people from outside the world or outside my country actually share their story. But it wasn't easy at first. I was always afraid, like, okay, who can I talk to? I don't know anybody from here. All I know is just the Nigerian persons I've related with. So how can I step out? So I started connecting on social media, on other groups, and I was able to start relating with people who are actually part of my story, who have the same message as I do, and who understand that there is need to love and accept yourself the way you are and the way you were created. So impossible is nothing. Because at first I was like, okay, it's never going to happen. Hey, if I'm going to talk to a white person and come and share your story, and I was like, go and beg, oh God, beg, come and talk, come madam, I beg, come and talk. Just come and tell us something. But it didn't happen that way. When I stepped out, like, okay, someone actually brought up a post. What can we do for you to help you grow? And I like my village people were telling me like, don't talk. Oh. If you talk, then go hold you for a year. I actually left the page, I left the platform, and I like, okay, I went back. I said, why did they beat my head? I mean, they beat drum for me for my village, and they danced around. And actually, okay, this is what I'm doing. So I would love someone who's interested to also join. And that's how it happened. From the first person to the next, I didn't have to ask anymore. But Nigeria, okay, I see what you're doing, and I want to also actually contribute as well. So there is nothing that you set your mind to do that cannot be achievable. The thing is, when you believe that God set you apart for a purpose, that you have found that purpose, God is not going to leave you halfway. It's going to give you all that you need to fulfill that purpose. So my journey starting at like just me and my friends being shy, being scared, not knowing exactly where I was going to getting to a point where I can have people around the world share on my platform was something I never expected, but it's happening. And I'm seeing it go global. I'm seeing where people from around the world will pay transport, they will take their flight just to come to Nigeria or invite me abroad to speak on their program. So nothing is impossible. It's yes, impossible is indeed nothing. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right. Funny enough, I remember when Benny started. It looked like a joke where she started. I can remember at first too. Then I usually had time. It was a bit locked down. There was no work, so I could come in, and then all of a sudden I just started seeing international speakers. I said, okay, right. So impossible is nothing. Impossible is nothing. And mistake some of us think is you think it's going to take time. It really usually does not take time. It just takes a lot of effort. All right. Another person that wants to share with us very quickly. Help me welcome Mr. Shegun as he shares with us his own experience of impossible is nothing. Immediately, Mr. Shegun is done. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Your response is too cold for my likeness. Good afternoon, everybody. All you want me to say is you jump up and maybe touch your shoulder. Yes, impossible is nothing. I'm here standing. My name is Olusegun Emmanuel. My story is, I don't know where to start, but let me start from somewhere. I started as a ND holder. I finished as an ND holder in my school. Studied computer engineering. No work. I went into cinematography. Still yet, the thing was not balanced. I look at myself, so, okay, where do I start from? I think I should start from somewhere, but where? Finally, I got a job. But while I was working there, something kept telling me that this is not where you belong. There is still more ahead. But how do you get there? You need people to mentor you. You need people you can look up to. And God so kind, I met somebody. And I'm happy that he's even here right now listening to this story. I met Ola Barnabas some years ago. And he told me something. He said, Shegun, this thing is possible if you have the mind to do it. I look at it and say, sir, I'm into secretarial studies and duties, but this thing is not correlating. How do I go about it? I don't have the experience as secretarial. I don't have the experience, but how do I go about it? He said, Shagun, just follow up, read, and you will get it. I started following up people who are into the system, who work in the system, and funny enough, with his backing and his lectures, something came up inside of me, and I said, okay, let me start up my own firm. Today, as I'm talking to you, I have my own firm. I'm not working under anybody, but I'm working as a consultant, a company secretary. It's not easy, but God has been helping me. I want to challenge you today. If you have something in your mind you want to do, take a step. Don't wait for anybody. By the time you take that step, along the line, you will meet people that will direct you to get to where you are going. And I pray the Lord will help us as we keep our faith and as we keep listening. Thank you very much.
蓝牙已断开，蓝牙已连接。
Yeah, our Chinese participants. All right. Right away from two of our speakers walked in. Right, their views. Right. Ango is a legal practitioner. Is one of the partners in Legal Minds and also in Notary Public. Please come and appreciate him. Friend and a brother, Ola Barnabas, also in the house. Mrs. Ladi Felix, who is coming in all the way from Abuja. Hello. Sorry.
蓝牙已断开，蓝牙已连接。
Okay, can you say something? Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, go ahead. Say something like, all right. Oh, okay. Can you say something again? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you say something? That's right. You can start.
How are we doing? So I need to know that I'm being heard. Can I get like a chart to show that my voice is clear and loud? Hello?
We can hear you.
Am I being heard? Okay, you can hear me loud and clear. Good. Thank you for that response, Pastor Godwin Obuche. So I want to appreciate the organizers of this program. I want to thank you for having it in mind to organize a program like this because it is really needful in times like this that we hear things like this that will, put you in a check and balance position. So thank you so much for having me once again. Thank you everyone for having me. My name is Ladi Felix and I'm a mental health practitioner. I reside in Abuja here, Nigeria. So as a mental health practitioner, what it means is that I offer mental health first aid to people. I'm also a coach and I specialize in emotional intelligence and anger management. I'm also a certified and trained counselor, meaning that I offer professional counseling, especially in the area of mental health and managing emotions. So I want to welcome you once again to this segment where I'll be talking about your mental health and your well-being. I understand that, of course, our participants are, from different areas of life, especially the young, the middle aged, and even the elderly ones. So particularly, I would like to be dwelling on your wellness as a person. Most times when we talk about wellness, a lot of us feel like we are talking about our physical health. That's what we know. When we say, are you well? We're just referring to, are you physically well? But guess what? I'm going to burst your bubble today by telling you that there is really no health without mental health. Your health is not complete. you are not totally well once your mental health is not intact. So we'll be going through some things that are put together that I feel like we need to talk about as regard our mental health and our wellness. First of all, I would like to indulge, take advantage of this opportunity. It's a lot of knowledge, and there's this tendency that okay, because knowledge is free and I'm just having it, I won't take it serious. I mean, we need to we need to take it serious. It's something that is serious. Knowledge is power. What you know will necessarily not kill you. It's the same thing, what if you really want to thrive well in this society that we are in, you need to know a lot of things. You need to, be equipped with the right knowledge. And I want us to know here that mental health issues affect people's ability to deal with every now and then stress of life. So when we talk about mental health, one of the myths of mental health is once mental health is being mentioned, a lot of people think that, but I'm not mad. Why are you talking about mental? Because of course we relate mental to, when someone is not okay up there. But mental health, as defined by WHO, World Health Organization, is actually a state of your mind per time. Your ability, what is the state of your mind at every point in time? How are you able to cope with everyday stress? Every day in and out, everyday thoughts that come to your mind, everyday issues of life, of relationship, of work. A lot of us deal with a lot of things in our lives that most times we don't even talk about. And then this thing stresses us. But then we are not able to stress it. We are not able to, analyze the stress. We are not able to filter the stress such that we are still productive. Because once you get to a point or a point in your life where you are no longer productive, where you are no longer able to cope, where you are no longer able to, process what is happening to you, then that means there's an imbalance. There's an imbalance going on, and then you need to, relax and really talk to yourself or seek help, because it means then that your mental health is being affected. So, I talk about stress of life. Now, I'm not here to tell you that you can quite all right do without stress. Especially as Nigerians, we know that it's not possible to do without stress. I would like to be having feedback. So maybe from the chat room, if I can have feedback so that I'll know that I'm communicating. Yeah, just once in a while, I would really appreciate that. So in Nigeria, we are faced with stress. From the time you wake up in the morning and you want to go have a shower and the water is not rushing, you're thinking of traffic, you're thinking of what to eat that day, you're thinking of what to cook, and then there's no gas, and then you have to run around. Already stress is beginning to build up. So your ability to be able to cope with this stress, your ability to talk to yourself of this stress is what basically we are talking about when we say mental health. Okay? So I want to bring this mental health closely to the house, closely to you, because I was talking to, I think, Pastor Godwin the other time, and I said, it is because we don't have statistics. That is why we think that mental health issues are not real. Now, let me tell you some of the areas mental health can begin to show itself, and then you begin to now appreciate the fact that this is a real serious issue, and that your wellness, when you're talking about your wellness, you also take into consideration your mental health. Mental health has made a lot of people kill themselves. I don't know how many of you have had, it's sad, but I don't know how many of you have had experiences of people that have committed suicide. I don't know how many of us have had relatives that have, even if they've not died physically, but these are people that no longer look like people that are living. They are dead. A lot of people have committed suicide because of depression. That is what mental health can do in the life of an individual. It can lead you to depression, anxiety, and then you get to that point where you no longer have hope, and the only way out is for you to just end it all. At that moment, you are not just thinking of anything, you are just thinking of, I just want to this pain. I want to stop this hurt. I want to stop this, whatever it is that I'm feeling inside. And the best option would be, I want to just end it. I want to just kill myself. So mental health issues have made people to kill themselves. Mental health issues have made people to isolate themselves. When you have people around you that are isolating themselves, people that before now have been active, you see them active, vibrant, talking to themselves, talking, being able to mix with people. But all of a sudden, they are now isolating themselves. And even if it is happening to you, when you begin to feel like you no longer want to just talk to people irritate you, you just want to be by yourself, not just, I'm not talking about just 1 minute, 2 minutes, I want to just, I'm talking about isolating yourself for days, for weeks, sometimes for months. You just begin to feel like people irritate you, and you yourself know that you're not an introvert, but then all of a sudden people are beginning to say, why is this person quiet? Why is he always indoors? You enjoy staying indoors in the dark. You don't want music. You don't want anything. Mental health issues are beginning to crop up. Mental health issues. You see people that have babies. We've had instances. We call that postpartum depression. This happens to people, especially that have given birth, and then when there's no that necessary emotional support, physically, people around you to support you, you begin to go down in depression. And then we've had instances of mothers that all of a sudden will carry their children and they just want to dump them, or they just want to end their own lives. That is mental health issue. What about people that are leaving their marriages? I'm sure we have people that we can relate with in such circumstances. I'm trying to bring it home to ourselves, to us, so that you understand that these mental health issues that we're talking about are real. We have people that leave their marriages because they have gotten to the point where they are telling themselves, I can no longer deal with this person in this marriage. This is not the person I got married to. I got married to this person and he's an exciting person, he's always jovial. All of a sudden, he's giving me another attitude. I'm seeing another person. Now, all these are mental health issues that are not managed. Once they are not managed properly, it leads to separation, it leads to divorce. So that we see having low academic performance. It shows itself in all these areas. High blood pressure, heart attack. Because, like it's right here that as you are listening to me, that there's no shame. I mean, we've gotten to that point. If you don't want to get to this point where these things are beginning to affect you, and it's looking like there is absolutely no shame. There's help everywhere around now, especially concerning mental health. One of the ways that you can break it is by breaking the silence. The Bible says in John chapter 8, verse 32, it says, the devil, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So there is power in knowledge. There is power in wanting to know. When you begin to see that some things are no longer interesting to you, when you begin to see that you are beginning to go down the ladder in terms of your joy, your happiness, nothing more is interesting to you, then you know that, okay, I need to talk to someone. Okay, I think I need to check this and that. Now, I always also want to talk about statistics. Maybe when we know that these things are prevalent in our society, then we begin to also, take it serious. We have a little bit of statistics in the country that can help us. For instance, we have it that 1 out of every 4 Nigerians suffer from mental health issues. You know that? Let me allow that to. 1 out of every 4 Nigerians suffer from mental health issues. Now, when I say 1 out of every 4, what I mean is that, sorry, excuse me. So, I'm talking about statistics. So thank you so much. I'm talking about statistics, okay? So one out of every four Nigerians. What that means is that right now, wherever you are sitting down, I'm sure there's somebody by your left, front, and back. Okay? So one out of the four of you, you are probably having mental health issues. It means that there is something you are dealing with that you probably need help with. You probably can't help yourself. You need someone to talk it over with. That is how serious mental health issue is. Now, another statistic says that from 2018 till date, there is a 50% increase in the number of drug abusers in Nigeria. Why do you think that is? Why are people abusing drugs? Why are people getting addicted to drugs? Why are people looking for an easy way out? Because they are no longer able to cope. So you can imagine that instead of us having a decrease, we're having an increase of drug abusers, people that use drugs just to be able to cope. So a lot of people are subjected to a stressful environment. For instance, in your work, you are subjected to so much stress in the work area, and because you lack the knowledge on how to manage this stress, it consumes you. And then you feel like one of the easiest way for you to get out of that feeling or how you are feeling is to abuse drugs, is to take something that will pull you down. Why do we have a lot of people that close from work and decide to just go drink, smoke, and look for something that will just ease them of the stress? Now, we also have that 90% of the people who die by suicide had shown a mental health condition. So most times, people that have killed themselves or have committed suicide have before now, shown
蓝牙
symptoms
已断
of
开。
mental health. One of the major symptoms is withdrawal. They have shown, for those that will not come out and say it, you begin to see that they are withdrawing. They are going back to a shell. They are quiet. They are lacking interest in life. And people that used to be very energetic and interested in life are beginning to just slow and not interested about life. We encourage that when you see people like that, you raise an alarm, you talk to people, you want to know what is happening. Because maybe what they just need at that moment is someone to just get them out of that um, um, reality that they find themselves. Now, another statistic, I'll just say this, like there are so many statistics, but then this last one that has caught my attention is the fact that only um, half of the number of people get help in developed world. 90% go undetected in developing world. Now, Nigeria is still a developing nation. You discover that a lot of people that have these mental health issues go on, continue living life without it being detected. It was so easy to just hide under it, and then you alone, you are the one crying, you are suffering alone, and you can still come out and meet with people, but you yourself know that you are not okay. You yourself know that I don't feel alright, I feel burdened, I feel sad, I feel overwhelmed. So because of course, digitization, most people don't want to come out and say, I have mental health issues. Most people don't want to come out and say, I have this thing bothering me because they feel they'll be stigmatized. Children feel that my parents don't understand me. They will be labeled and stuff like that. So because of that, a lot of people don't speak out. But I want to encourage everyone that no one should be ashamed. I think that's one of my strongest messages that, as an advocate, mental health advocate, I also say out there, no one should be ashamed trying to understand what will help you. There is no shame in it. I mean, we have gotten to that point because we are losing a lot of people to mental health issues, related issues. So no one should be ashamed to want to discuss or discover or find out how they can better themselves, especially as it has to do with mental health issues. Because mental health issues affect your ability to function maximally. We're talking about impossibilities There is nothing that is impossible. You know, that is more like talking about you functioning maximally. But when you are beginning to have things that draw you back, especially mental health issues, how function maximally? You can't. And I want us to take our mental health issues very serious, same way we take our physical well-being. You take your mental health well-being. There are ways you check your mental health well-being. I probably will get to that stage in this presentation if time permits me. But then you can really hide your mental health issues. You can hide it for a while until it begins to show. I know when I talk about mental health issues, I'm not talking about mental health disorders because you can have mental health issues when it goes unchecked, then it becomes mental health disorders. Get, I have not gotten any chart to show that I am being heard. So, so I really want to have feedbacks. I want to have feedback so that I'll know that I'm communicating. We are talking about mental health and your well-being. So I want to talk about people that are prone to mental health, that are more prone to mental health. Okay, from study, from my conversation with people, from my talking with people, I feel that this is helpful for us to know that number one, men, women are most likely to discuss their issue. Okay, if something is bothering a woman, she is most likely going to discuss it by way of probably nagging. The woman nag, but I think it's both ways, we all nag, right? So when boys, men usually feel like when they disclose mental health issues, they are being seen as weak. When they begin to disclose that I am emotionally drained, I am having depression, I'm having anxiety, I'm having fear, and I'm having I've been abused and stuff like that. They feel that they are going to come out as being weak, so they tend to hide it, and that's why we have more victims of mental health issues as being men than women. You find out that most women. Okay, good. Thank you. You can hear you, man. Thank you so much. Yeah. So we notice that more women are come out to seek help. In my counseling experience, I've counseled more women than men. So if you're a man here, I want you to know that it is okay to talk about it. It is okay to come out and discuss it. We are also campaigns to talk about the fact that it is okay to normalize the mental health conversation because it is only that way that we can feel we are not alone in this mental health fight. Okay, in this our fight for wellness. So men are more prone to mental health issues. I want to encourage all men that once you get to that point where you know that you need to talk to someone, you need to detox, you need to free yourself, please do that. Then we have the second category of people that are prone to mental health to be children that have been traumatized. Children. Most times, some of these mental health issues can be traced to childhood trauma. Okay? Children that have suffered from abuse, either physically or emotionally. Children that have been raped. Children that have, been exposed to drug abuse from way early in their childhood are more prone to mental health issues. But there are solutions to all these things. Children that have been traumatized and have childhood experiences. We have professionals that can talk to those children and get them out of those positions or circumstances. But what we also do is to encourage us. If you are a parent here or you have siblings, to please watch your children, watch them, because most times some of these abuses, when they go undetected, they transform to trauma. And this, if trauma goes undetected, it transforms health issues. A lot of our children are left unattended to, or most times we don't listen to them because we think that they're children. A lot of children are abused these days. A lot of children, either physically or emotionally. A lot of them are sexually abused. A lot of them are emotionally abused, and we call that trauma. When at the early stage you are still, your brain is still forming, and you are still, you are still at your developmental stage. Anything that tampers with your development as a child can become a trauma, and if that is not properly handled and taken care of, it grows into a full-blown mental health issues. Okay, and then mental health issues that are not properly checked can now also become mental health disorders. That's why we have PTSD. I don't know if you've heard of that. Post-traumatic stress disorder. That means you have probably a trauma that you have not dealt with. It happened to you as a child, even as an adult, you can be traumatized, abuse victims, accident victims, so many things that will have traumatized you, either as a child or as an adult, that have not been dealt with can result to disorder, and we call that PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, so another category is children that are from the rich homes. Yes, children that are from the rich homes, they're so comfortable, and they think that there will be no problem out there. Now, when you expose them to the real world, it becomes an issue for them to cope. It becomes an issue for them to cope. They are not able to cope on the streets. They are not able to cope outside. And then it affects them mentally. And then we now have on the other extreme side, people that are from a very poor background. Poverty affects your mental health. Okay? Yes, it does. Poverty, extreme poverty affects mental health. Because when you are poor, you are not properly fed, it affects the development of your brain, and then it affects your ability to think and to process. So that's the people that are from a very poor background have to fight extremely more to be able to maintain their mental health. Then another category, there are people that are exposed to excessive stress. Excessive stress. Maybe work stress, relationship stress, you're in a marriage that is toxic, stressful, you're working and it's stressful. All this can contribute. People that find themselves in these kind of areas are more susceptible to mental health issues. Finally, I have here grief. In Nigeria, we talk about grief. Grief, most times, sometimes we need to teach ourselves how to grieve. As Nigerians, sometimes we don't allow people to grieve properly. Loss, grieve your loss. It intercepts the process for people, and then because the process is not complete, it tends to result to mental health issues. We encourage people to allow people to grieve properly. And if you feel like you're not grieving well, or you are grieving for a longer time than necessary, there are counselors. There are people that you can speak and talk to them, and then they're able to counsel you in the area of grieving, and then grief health in a way that leads to mental health. Let me rush along. I want to talk about symptoms. Some of the symptoms, a few symptoms that are very common that you can see. There are a lot of symptoms. Symptoms are a way our body communicates to us. That's how I define symptoms. Okay, our body is a special gift to us from God. Okay, it's a special gift from God to us, and our body has a way of communicating to us. When your body needs rest, you begin to feel tired, you begin to yawn, it tells you that I want to rest. Your body is telling you I want to rest. If your body is subjected to excessive stress, it begins to tell you by way of headache that I need to rest. I need to rest. So there are other symptoms that you begin to see that begins to inform you that if you as a person, if it's you as a person, that it begins to inform you that okay, you are tending towards mental health breakdown, or if you see these symptoms in your family, friends, relatives, colleagues, you know what to do, because you know that this person is towards mental health breakdown. And one of them, of course, common depression and excessive anxiety. What is depression? You know, when you begin to lose interest, all of a sudden you are no longer just interested in anything. And anxiety is the fear of the future, something that has not happened and you are just afraid. You have not come yet, but you are excessively afraid of tomorrow. You are excessively afraid of what has not even happened. That's anxiety. So when you see people that, one of the easiest ways to just check people that you know have a certain lifestyle, and then all of a sudden that lifestyle changes, especially when it tends to go towards people begin to be quiet or get to a point where they are no longer interested in anything, and they are just uninterested. They just want to stay on their own. They just want to sleep all day. They don't want to talk to relate to people. It is depression, especially when it goes on for like minimum 2-3 weeks. I know sometimes you want to just be alone for a day, fine, but then when every day you just don't want to be around people, then it is depression. These are symptoms of mental health issues. Are we together? Please, I would like to have feedback from school. I'd like to have feedback that you are hearing me. Thank you so much. Yeah. So let's watch out for depression. Let's watch out for people that show signs of anxiety. You know, these are symptoms of mental health issues. Then another symptom is inability to control your emotions. This is a topic on its own. But when you see people that are at that position where they are not able to control their emotions, they are excessively angry, they are excessively, throwing tantrums, they show a serious low level of emotional intelligence. These are all signs. These are all signs that this person is suffering from mental health issues, not mental health disorder yet. Because you can't conclude that someone has a mental health disorder except it is properly tested or diagnosed. Right? What we're talking about at the foundational level, which is mental health issues. So people that are unable to process their emotions, they react to issues instead of responding to issues. So they don't want to, like, people that say, I want to say my mind. People that they are not able to process their emotions. These are symptoms. Then we have extreme mood swings. Have you seen people like that? I'm sure we must have come across people that are like that. Extreme mood swings. So people that are happy and then all of a sudden they are so sad, and then they are trying everything to bring them out of that state, but all is your efforts are all going down the drain because you are just so sad, and we call these things like more like a bipolar situation. So they have two personalities. You have happy go person and then sad person. And then while this party is saying, do you know Ladi is a very happy person? This person, no, Ladi is not a happy person. She's a very sad person. Oh, Ladi is a very shy person. So there is nobody can pinpoint on your personality. You have so many complex personality around you. That's symptoms of mental health issues. Then we have uninterested in life. I've talked about it. Okay, thank you. I have 5 minutes more. Okay, uninterested in life, and then we have people that abuse drugs. Okay, so I've talked a lot about symptoms of people that are prone to mental issues, and when you begin to have frequent headaches, I must add this: frequent headaches is also part of it. When you begin to lose weight, you begin to have eating disorders. These are all signs of mental health issues. So let me just quickly talk and you towards the way out for yourself, for your loved ones. Okay. So number one is seek help. I cannot overemphasize that. Seek help. Seek help. Take responsibility for yourself. I mean, if you feel that from the conference, I feel this conference is supposed to charge us up, take responsibility. This conference is supposed to charge us up, seek help. I'm a counselor, and once in a while you have counselors that offer Kuguru sessions, free sessions, or paid sections, but seek help. Just the same way you go to the hospital and complain of headache or that, anytime you feel these symptoms around you, please do not keep quiet, seek help. We have mental health practitioners that will be ready to help out. Then, it's a fight. You need to fight. You need to fight to be whole. You need to fight to stay alive. You need to fight to be well. And then I always add this: choose happiness. When you seek help, what you are doing is you are choosing happiness. You are choosing joy. Happiness is not the it's not the presence of money. I hope you know that. Happiness is not just the presence of you have so much money, you have everything. You can have all that and not be happy. Happiness is a state of the mind. You get to that point where you feel fulfilled, you are satisfied, and you might not have everything, but you are at that place where you are content. You are not comparing yourself negatively with people, but you realize your potential and you are putting it to work, you are contributing positively to the society, and you are just at that stage where you are just happy with yourself. Choose that happiness because you can't be that happy. Then I also talk about some of the ways I'm talking about some of the ways you can actually help yourself out of mental health issues, seek to be emotionally balanced, stop being in toxic relationships. When you feel like you're in a place where you are in a toxic relationship, people are looking down on you, they are fighting to be happy, they are fighting to be sane. Please leave that environment. Leave that environment. You don't have to be in that environment. Anything that tampers with your mental health, you don't need it. And you can do away with it. Then we talk about health wise, that's when we talk about exercising. Exercising has a way of building up your immune system, putting you in that place where you are healthy in your mindset. And then I talk about gratitude. Be grateful. I'm sorry I'm rushing this thing because of the time, but these are things that you look at in depth, one after the other. But if you had time, we'll have been looking at them in depth. For instance, we are looking at gratitude. It's one of the weapons you can have in this our journey of impossibility is nothing. Gratitude. Waking up in the morning, your mind is telling you 1001 things you do not have and you should be ungrateful for. But then you can choose to count your blessings at that moment, and then you can count over millions of reasons why you should be grateful. Millions of reasons why you should be grateful. So gratitude is a weapon to fight mental health issues. You must get to that point where even though you are looking at things that you need or you want that you do not have, but you are also able to control yourself, to be grateful for those things that you have. Then, of course, I cannot do without talking about the God factor, and that's the spirituality aspect of this. Most times, there's always this that breaking we're called, and I know it's true. That breaking in us where you are lacking something inside of you. You feel like you are empty. You feel like there's something. So the God factor is the source of all power, and it can help you out of every situation. And drink a lot of water. Water is good. Your body is made up of 95% of water. You know that your body is made of 95% of water. Then you know what we do to ourselves. If our body is made of a lot, if our body is made up of water, when you feel lighter on the inside, it can translate and do a lot of magic in the outside. So I would like to conclude by saying thank you so much once again to the organizers. I would like to conclude by saying that mental health issues and mental health conversation has come to stay, especially in this part of the world, in Nigeria. We are talking about, we are advocating it, we are not keeping quiet. We are seeing a lot of people that are suffering from mental health, and we are saying no, you can be helped, you can find help. In your journey in life, while you are seeking to be relevant, while you are seeking to be relevant, while you are seeking to be relevant, while you are seeking to be heard, while you are seeking to push out your potential side, while you are seeking God, while you are seeking to be physically healthy, you must remember mental health. That I also need to be mentally healthy. I need to speak out. I need to talk about it. I need to make sure that I'm around a healthy relationship. I need to exercise, and and that way you have a very high chance of being maximum, being at your maximum. And I think that is what this conference is really all about. Thank you so much, Pastor Tayo and Pastor Gordon, for having me. I think my time is up, and I want to appreciate you for this opportunity. I can be reached. Yeah, thank you so much. My time is up. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, bye. So,
Thank you so much. I think she's still speaking though. All right. I think she's still speaking though. All right. So, mental health is becoming a very, very serious issue, right? It was in those days when we thought it's only the people that are on the street that are mad, but right now I've discovered that everybody really needs to be checked at one point in time. I can remember when I was young, say everybody has 5 minutes of madness every day, right? So, all right, kicking off, we're going to be changing strategy, right? We're going to be changing strategy of how we're going to run this conference. And I want to let you know that despite that, we're still going to achieve our aim because impossible is what? Nothing. And one thing you need to understand on the road to impossible being nothing is there are times you need to change your strategy to make things work the way they ought to work, right? Um, so the initial strategy is that speakers were going to come up one after the other, right? But to maximize time, to maximize space, to maximize energy and experience, right? We're going to be having a panel session of all the speakers. They're going to be sharing of themselves what they have to share. And to host that session is going to be my very own friend and brother. Before I introduce him, one of our other speakers just walked in, the person of Pastor Abi Bankoli, the lead pastor of Bethel Assembly, Kano State. You're welcome, sir. All right, so okay, yes, thank you very much, Sister Benny. Help me appreciate Mr. Zion Oberten, all the way from Zelenin Annex. They celebrated their 4th year anniversary yesterday. I was there and I enjoyed myself. From the moment I stepped into the hall till after we got home, I enjoyed myself. Right. Thank you so much. It was an awesome time. It's just the beginning. Right. It's just the beginning. So all right. So you help me welcome now the host of Ola Barnabas.
Okay. So this clap is for everybody. So yeah, there's something I like to do sometimes. I like to just appreciate myself. When I have money, I take myself out. When I don't have money, I stand in front of the mirror and I just like myself. So can you just imagine yourself now being appreciated? How would you like to be appreciated? So just do it like you really like someone to appreciate you or like people to appreciate you, you know? Most of us, we are too much than we know. We are too big than we realize. We are too deep than we have eyes to see. There's so much in us, so much about us that our infinitesimal mind cannot comprehend. That's the truth. But yeah, I understand Nigeria can make you redefine yourself. It's okay. It's okay. But today, we're going to discuss things that I believe will help us to see ourselves as though in Nigeria, but out of this country. As though in this country, but out of this country. Now, not just out of the country, out of the world, out doing things that the physical eyes can define as possible, but it's only the eye of the mind that can see, the depth of it. We are going to be doing something. I'm actually waiting for the people who are going to display the backdrop to display it so I can bring up our guest. We're going to have a panel session of every single person who is a speaker today. And the audience we're serving are the virtual audience, basically, the virtual audience. So this is being streamed on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live. I mean, we are live all over the world. So we are going to be serving this audience from all over the world. And basically, that's what we'll be focusing on in the next few minutes. Meanwhile, while I was just ranting and doing my talk, Dr. Mrs. Christiana Akure walked into the hall. Can you please celebrate her? Celebrate her. No. That's not good enough. Come on now. Thank you, Ma, for coming around. We appreciate you. The audience all over the world, we appreciate you for watching wherever you're watching from, whichever country you're watching from, any part of Nigeria you're watching from. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. So very quickly, I'm going to be mentioning names, and then I will have all of our guests coming on the stage. First on the list, I'm going to be calling Pastor or Mr. Godwin Oguche. Please celebrate him as he comes up. Please take your seat, sir. Clap now like you really want them to talk, you know what I'm saying? At least. Next, I'm going to be calling, his name is just one, Aboki. No title, no appellation. Aboki full stop. Next, I'm going to be calling Barrister Ango. Please celebrate him as he comes up. Celebrate him. Come on, clap now if you really want them to come up. Come on now. I'm going to be inviting next Reverend Bankole. Please celebrate him as he comes up. Reverend Bankole, celebrate him. The next person I'm calling up is Zion Emmanuel Obeten. Celebrate him. That is the president of Z Learning Annex. And then, lastly but not the least, it is the big masquerade that comes out last. Celebrate Dr. Mrs. Akure as she comes up. Celebrate. Come on now, until she comes up, you won't stop clapping. You won't stop clapping until she comes up here. Keep clapping. I know those hands are paid for already. You're welcome, ma. You're welcome, ma. All right, so this is a very straightforward discussion we're going to be having, and I'm honored to be your host. Thank you. Please, that's the background that should be on our streaming platforms as much as possible. So welcome, Aboki, welcome. Mr. Godwin, welcome. Barrister Ango, Reverend Biodun, welcome. Z Learning, welcome. Dr. Mrs. Akure, welcome. One word is a very huge word for our discussion point this afternoon. The word is impossible. Impossible. Can I have this quickly? Please, let's have that quickly. We're passing the mic. We are spending just about 40 to 50 minutes on this session, and I believe we'll be running up with that. So just pass the mic from the first person there. Don't worry. Next time you won't swap seats. What is impossible to you?
That was why I say, why not from there? Okay, well, growing up, there was something I did with my dictionary. Then it wasn't a mobile dictionary. I used a pencil.
Okay, please, sorry, sir. Can we control this so we don't have the hum? All right, sir.
All right, Mekuna help me control now. Okay, so what I did was I took a pen and scratched out impossible from the dictionary. Practically, yes.
You literally did that?
I literally took a pen and do jaga jaga like this and covered up impossible. So I still have the dictionary, but there's no impossible in it. So
wow,
that is what it means to me.
I wish I did that when I was younger.
Yes, I did it practically.
Interesting. Pastor Godwin, what is impossible to you?
Well, Aboki almost said what I wanted to say, even though I did not literally pick a dictionary to cancel out impossible. But I decided quite early in life to stop using words like can't and won't. it will not work. Phrases like, I don't think this will work. And so I saw everything as possible. Now that ran me into a lot of trouble.
Of course, it
A
will.
lot of trouble. I had a lot
Normal
of
guys
senior,
don't win in life.
I had a lot of senior friends who thought I was foolish, an impossible person to relate with, and somebody without emotions. You know, I could
can
see
imagine.
danger and call it something else and walk through it. So even though I didn't literally cancel it out from the dictionary, because it will be in other dictionaries or elsewhere. But
Thankfully for some of you, I know your stories.
so for me, nothing actually is impossible. If you
Interesting.
can conceive it, then it's doable.
Interesting. Barrister Ango,
Yes, sir.
what's impossible to you, sir? Can I get a chair? Is it possible? Impossible is nothing. Yes, sir.
All right. To me, impossible is an opinion.
Wow.
It's an opinion about a fact. So it is not the fact. It is just an expression of an opinion, which with a better and superior argument is not there. So if you are saying this is an impossibility, I see it as your own opinion about that. And I can give a superior argument that can defy that which you are saying or that opinion which you are sharing with me at that moment, because an opinion is not truly.
And you know what they say about opinions? They are like noses.
Yes.
Everybody's got one.
Everybody's got one. So it is an opinion you are sharing. And I believe with a superior argument, it is not there. So your opinion cannot bound me. So impossible or impossibility to me is just an opinion, which
doesn't necessarily hold true.
Mean the truth.
Correct.
Yeah, thank you.
That's good, sir. Man of God, what is impossible to you?
Okay. Impossible to me, actually, I see that word as limits. If you permit me to interchange the word impossible, I like to use the word limits. And I say for quite some number of my years, I lived within those limits until I discovered that there are laws and there are higher laws. You know, like Barrister was trying to say that there are things that you can dare and others might not. So over the years growing up, and even when I started working with God, definitely, I discovered that limitations are relative. There are persons that can operate at a level of being limitless. It's based on the law you engage in. And so I began to subscribe to higher laws. And I discovered that, just as the walls can limit you.
So it's like you're shifting boundary,
Yes.
Your discoveries lead to extension of the boundaries you already have.
Yes, extension per time, like that.
So as it is now, the more the laws you discover, the more the principle you're able to activate, the more the boundaries are able to shift.
The more the boundaries are
Wow.
shifted. Yes.
Mr. Zion, what would you describe as impossible?
All right. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. I think impossible is what is seen to not be achievable until somebody achieves it. Yeah, so looking at the story of the Wright brothers, I'm sure we are all conversant with the story, how that they once told their dad, who was a missionary, who was a reverend in church, I would say, that they wanted to, a pastor came, he was in the church when the reverend came and said, a time is coming. There'll be something, he sees wings in the air, like a bird, flying the wings like aircraft that would take people, and the man got angry. So how would you say that kind of a blasphemous thing? And he took his two sons and walked out on the pastor, and they walked out of the church.
He didn't know he was taking the activators.
He didn't know that the same sons would come back after so many years
to activate that prophecy.
to activate that thing. So at that moment, it was impossible until somebody achieved it. So every time we see that something is impossible, just give it some time. After some time, the I am is erased. And then you get to another place, just as he said, boundaries. You get to that place again. This place looked like a boundary. Until after some time, the boundary is taken away. So it means it keeps taking you to territories and territories until you find out that, why am I even saying impossible when I know that there's always a time when it will be destroyed, it will be taken out of the way. So it really doesn't
Obviously,
exist.
everybody can be that next person that can discover what is the I am in what these people are talking about, that can
Yes.
pull it out.
Oh,
And
yes.
that person will be able to activate the next level that people have never thought of.
Oh, yes.
Great point there. Dr. Mrs., how would you describe impossible, the word impossible, man?
Well, I want to say thank you to the convener of this meeting. It's a wonderful privilege being here. When you look at those dictionaries that still contain impossible, it means something that could not be done. But at a point in time, for what I know and for the understanding I have, I said, look at creation. It was called to be out of nothing. Thank God you said it is faith and business. So we all know there is God somewhere. So he called those things that were not as though they were. So in the real sense of it, before the earth came to existence, somebody will say there's no earth, it's not anywhere. Well, it was somewhere. So it takes somebody to rise up to tackle the riddle. So, and as a science student, I was going on to check the etymology of the word itself. It was discovered, look at what is written here, that word was imperfectly developed.
Wow.
As of today, is obsolete.
Wow.
Yes, because there is nothing actually called impossible. It has gone to disuse.
It is already an extinct word.
Thank you. We call it obsolete. Wow. It's extinct. It's not there. So that's why when he said he checked his dictionary and it was not there, I could relate with that. Because as at today, we call it an obsolete word. It's not there.
Thank you for bringing that point
Wait now. It has gone to disuse. It's been neglected. Because you were birthed. You came here to tackle a riddle. That riddle is what they call impossible. So when you rise up to tackle it, it disappears. And that's why we say impossible is nothing. Thank you.
Wow. I think that's a very good place to put our hands together. Impossible is nothing. It does not exist anywhere. Let me take it from you, Aboki. One of the things which this conference hopes to do is to help our participants from all over the world to share from our interaction, our knowledge, what we have done or what we have gone through that people at one point in time or the other called impossible. Sometimes we may have come from some kind of lineage that we were the first to do certain things. There is always that first person that broke a particular limit, like one of us said earlier, and then made what appeared impossible now a new foundation for others to climb on and rise. In your journey through life, in the short period of time that you have been on earth, sir, how would you describe your journey of impossibility that has become possible?
It is a very simple story, and I've shared it again and again. My journey into the film and eventually the broadcasting industry was impossible. Impossible because there were odds against me growing up. The odds was that I was already a disadvantaged citizen because anybody growing in the barracks was looked at as, there was a limit set for us.
Is it just limits? Or the way you people appear to the world?
Yes. So
Barrack boys.
Barrack boys. So the idea to become an actor was practically impossible because there was nobody in my lineage. There was nobody in my barracks. There was nobody I knew that was an actor. And when I took it at a very young age and had to move from Kaduna to Lagos, like the prodigal son, it was practically impossible. Impossible because nobody would even have heard about it. Nobody would have accepted it. it didn't make sense. Acting itself then didn't make sense. And my target then was one of the biggest platforms, which happened to be Tales by Moonlight. So all the odds were against me. But I eventually got to Lagos. I eventually went to NTA after like 7 months. I eventually got a shot. And those people from the barracks and everywhere around Nigeria then.
They eventually saw you
saw me on television. So what seemed impossible became possible, and it created a path that we kept tracking for many years, and it's speaking.
And we can say that people can look at you today and see your impossible journey as an inspiration for them to also aspire to greater things in life.
Yes, I will say categorically, if you are not inspired by my story, perhaps you are not just meant to be inspired. And it is not on me. Or maybe another person will inspire you, because a village, somebody coming from a barracks, and you know, in the north at some point we're disadvantaged. So many things were working against me. To rise to, by privilege, by God's ordination, to practically I'm the highest ranking media personality
in the north.
In an entire north.
Yeah. That's a good place.
Yes, and I also love to say, from nowhere, from just an aspiration to receive about 79 national and international awards.
That's a good place
I think
as well.
that should inspire somebody.
Yeah. Interesting. That's a good one. You see, your story is actually inspiring. Aboki, one of the ones you didn't mention is the fact that also includes the doctorates.
Oh yes, I've been privileged to have a honorary doctorate degree that is not Nigerian.
Yes.
You know, if it is not Nigerian,
yes,
it means it's somehow authentic.
I didn't need to add that one.
Yes, I've been given a honorary doctorate degree, Doctor of Administration from University of Minnesota, and through the journey, I became a United Nations Youth Ambassador for Peace for the UN. Through the journey, I became Ambassador Water for Rural Africa, headquartered in Ghana. Through the journey, I still remain
Barrack boy.
Yes, it's still in record until proven otherwise. I'm the only person, for now, in Africa that studied what I studied, not in Nigeria. So I'm putting it in record. If there is any counter narrative, please do share. I'm the only person in Africa right now that studied mass communication and media administration, because it doesn't exist in any Nigerian university. It doesn't exist in any African university. It only exists in Cambridge International College in Jersey in the UK.
Which you were
Yes, which by the privilege I attended. Thank you.
Great one. It's a good place to celebrate. I mean, these are wonderful stories. My brother, Godwin Oguche, I know you started very early. You broke odds as a young person. I know your journey of tenacity started from as early as about 16 or thereabouts. 12. Can you walk us through that? How impossible you continually waded through the waters of impossibility until you got to where you are today?
Okay. I would like for us to leave here early. So I will just do a summary.
Summary indeed.
I will do a summary. I was born into a family that had no idea where they were going. As a matter of fact, there was no aspiration. They wanted to be an average family. My dad was in the army. My mom, the day my dad married my mom was the first day she met.
Okay.
So
that's amazing.
Yes, the war had just finished, 1971, and my ancestors felt that my dad needed a wife. So without consulting him, they went to marry somebody and took the lady to him in Port Harcourt. You know, no phones and no communication. They just arrived, this is your wife. That was how my journey started. And I was born a year later.
And they were married, sir. Sorry, before you continue. They were
married for 39 years.
Until death
Until
came
my
in.
mom passed on about 11 years
Someone
ago.
he had not met, he had not dated. We're not discussing relationships
That's,
today, but let's
that's a
continue.
story for another day. So, at the age of 12, okay, I was done with primary school, and then all of a sudden, my mates went on to secondary school, and there was no school fees to put me in secondary school.
Wow.
So I had to attend a commercial college part-time by evening. And so from morning till about 2, I'll hire a wheelbarrow, go to market, help people to move stuff in the truck, and then by evening, I will go to school. And because I knew that the odds were against me, even at that age, I needed to double my understanding of stuff in school. So it was just 3 hours studies every evening from 4 to 7. You're done.
That was next school.
Yeah, that's the end of a school for that day. The next day you go back to the market and hustle. It is from that hustling that I pay my school fees. It is from that hustling that I also drop stuff for my mom to get something for the family.
Wow.
All right. So, and I had 8 younger ones behind me. So
8.
If
you were an army.
Yeah, of course. But by the age of 14, I was done with secondary school because I only spent 2 years. By year 2 in the commercial college, I tried external GCE and I got 5 credits. It was
to give you an insight or foresight into what life has for you.
Indeed.
Truly, when they were speaking, they talked about barracks. Though I didn't live in the barrack, but I lived close to the barracks. So I understood.
So you shared characteristics.
Yeah. We were going to the barracks to play, and I knew what barrack boys passed through. Well, I appreciate their lives. Back to my own self. Well, I will say the journey of impossibility, seeming impossibility in my life, I started off as a science student. My secondary school, secondary school, very exceptional. I did my work and everything. It was okay. Now, going to the university, we decided, I and my friend, that you go and study medicine, you study law. That was
like that.
Just like that.
Is that not strange?
Just like that. And all of a sudden, I said, okay, how will I do it? Okay, I have to write GCE again, take social science or art courses, make my papers, and then go to the university. That's just that. And then into the university, from year 1, I was told that you can never be a lawyer. You will never graduate from this university. I say, why? People like you cannot graduate here. There's a certain course.
That was an impossibility there.
Yeah, there's a certain course that you will never, ever pass that course. And from that moment, I picked the challenge. I said, well, if there are humans that can pass this course, then I should be one of them. And that course is Arabic. Okay. I've never studied Arabic. I don't know Arabic. But I was told I will have to study Arabic.
Why do you have to study the course anyway?
Well, it's part of the requisites. I said, since I want law in this university, I must study Arabic language. I'll write Arabic, and it's going to be for 3 years, and without which you can never graduate. I picked the challenge.
Wow.
And to the glory of God, I wrote that Arabic for 3 years. I studied Arabic for 3 years. You know how Arabic is? Normally we write from
right to left.
But Arabic is from the other way around, and the alphabet starts. I just don't know. But I have that faith and believe that yes, I can make it. And for those 3 years, it was okay. And today is a story. I am a legal practitioner called to the Nigerian bar, just about 15 years in practice now.
Wow.
from that moment to now. And within this period, I tried to be, or I applied to be a notary public. From my second year of graduating from the law school, I have been pushing to get that. It didn't come. Not until about 4 years back, to the glory of God. I never gave up because I saw it as an impossibility, seeming impossibility, but I said, I must surmount it.
Another
And
impossibility
that's
there.
just the way it went. Equally, within this period, God has helped me to push forward again and to be a chartered arbitrator. Now I am a chartered arbitrator, a notary public, as well as a legal practitioner.
Wow.
So the seeming impossibility is when I was told that I can never graduate from that university with law.
That's right.
And today, when I look back and I look at that person, he's still alive, that once told me that I can never graduate.
And you are a test. Is nothing.
That's
It's
just
nothing.
my brief story.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Please, can you put your hands together for? All right, I'm going to change a question for you, Reverend Bankole. And this is how I wanted to approach this issue. You see, this is a faith and business conference. A lot of listeners believe God has spoken to them. He has given them a promise, given them a word. I wanted to draw that line between the word God has given unto you and the fact that you have to face impossibilities in life. Does it mean that when God gave you the word, he didn't see that there were going to be challenges? Or when God, after God spoke, then devil now came back full force? That's the way I wanted to approach it. Can you, help us clear the grass in that area?
When God speaks from his realm, and with God, there is no impossibility, for with God, all things are possible. So when he speaks from his own realm, from his own level. And when the word comes to us, for instance, when God spoke to me of being a pastor, I didn't want to be a pastor. I actually failed spiritually. When it comes to knowing God, walking with God, acts of piety, I was nowhere to be found. I had speech problem. I was a stammerer. I was shy.
You were Moses.
I was Moses. I was just Moses over time. And when God spoke, I felt that because God has spoken, everything will just fall in place, and we just cruise all through until when I started the journey. Then I discovered that the same thing similar to Joseph in the Bible, for those who are conversant with the Bible, when God was showing him that he would be a king and he will rule over his people, he saw the ships bowing down to him. He saw the stars bowing down to him. He never saw himself in the dungeon. He never saw himself in Potiphar's house. He never saw all those challenges. He just saw that he was going to be a king, and that was what he used to disturb everybody until the journey started. And the first place was not the palace. The first place was the pit. So God actually sees these things. He knows it. He's aware of it. And he has made everything in place. He has put everything in place for us to succeed. But the first thing is, our journey with God begins with a promise. Anytime God wants to do something for you, he gives you a promise. And once you take that promise and start running with it, you don't wait until everything is clear, everything is in place, everything is okay. No. Okay, let me just add this briefly. Before stepping into ministry, there were revelations, a big preacher all around. I saw myself, people saw me. So I felt once you move in, it's going to be that way. But funny, I had to start from my sitting room, and we had only 4 members, myself, my wife, one other lady staying with us, and one brother who came to encourage us.
I think every starter will have a similar story.
It was like that. We had to turn my chairs on Sunday mornings, return them back after the service. In fact, there was a time when my wife, person, I'll do opening prayer, praise and worship, finish everything, and return. It was like
your member was not available.
Not available. I was like, how comes, recently one of our members was testifying during her testimony night before her wedding, which I conducted. And then she was testifying on the first time she came to the church. That's roughly 4 or 5 years ago. When she came in, she was looking for the members. And the worst part was I was the one on the drum. I was the preacher and I was the drummer. And the pastor she came looking for was the one beating the drums. And
was pouring out anointing on the drums.
It was after the praise and worship, then I left the drums to go preach on the altar. But right now, the story is different.
Wow.
It's
a good place to celebrate. Come on now.
I can travel out of town,
and
the service is going on. The only thing I concern myself about primarily is preaching. Several other administrative works are being handled. So when God speaks, it comes as a promise. You don't wait to see everything in place. You move.
Wow.
Thank you.
Please. Zion, what role do we have to play in overcoming our impossibilities? I'm asking this question in light of the fact that it's easier to trust people to do things for you. It's actually easier. I think it's the easiest way out, actually. You have a rich dad, a rich mom, maybe a rich uncle who promised you a job in an NPC after work or after school, and then what role do you have to play in overcoming your own impossibilities in life?
All right. I think while I was preparing for this meeting, I didn't know it was going to be a talk show. I thought we would just come and talk. There was this scripture that came to mind, and I hope I'm permitted to read the Bible.
Please go ahead.
Mark chapter 10, verse 15. And then I'll also read verse 25. And then we'll just correlate both. It says, "Verily I say unto you, whosoever shall not receive the kingdom of God as a little child shall not enter therein." Then verse 25 said something remarkable. He said, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." So the same kingdom stated twice. First of all, for a child, and then for a rich man. So for a child, it is easier. Why? Because when we were all born, there was we're not born with any attitude.
Yeah.
We're not born with any belief.
Yeah.
So it means we're not born with any limitation in our mind. A child believes everything is possible. So a child of 3 years or 2 years, he will try to climb this pew in his mind. It's possible. Until he falls down, and then he realizes that, okay, maybe I have not really grown to that point. So I'm God saying, can you trust me like a child? Can you just believe that since my level is here, just as Pastor said, that in God's realm, there is no impossibility. And God is saying, can you just be like that child that trusts everything his father said? Just like when we're growing up, our father will be stepping out and will say, I'm going to buy you an aeroplane. And we believed that daddy would come back with an aeroplane. That's
Even
trust.
if he never had a car.
Even if he never had a tricycle, right? But then a rich man, the man that feels, okay, there is money. So he sees possibilities only when he has money. So he looks at his wealth and says, okay, it's possible. So the day he doesn't see money, his eyes are closed to possibilities. So a typical example, for instance, while I was going, let me just put my own little story. I had never seen that done anywhere before. When I was preparing, now 2 things happened. The first one is while I was preparing for my wedding, I had never seen anything like that done before. I didn't have a dime in my account. My wife didn't have a dime in her account. We just told ourselves,